Welcome back to Doing Bart Things, and in this episode, this we're gonna probably have to go really quick episode. Don't have a ton of time. I thought I'd talk about the was it B580? So the new Battle Mage cards. They've actually been received pretty well. Intel may have actually gotten this one pretty right. Um, as I understand it, obviously there's going to be exceptions to things and, caveat that heavily, but um, initial benchmarks look pretty promising. The price seems relatively right. Um, we're not talking about a super high end card. This is competing at your RTX 4060 area. There's kind of an interesting thing going on. So, um, Intel's leaning, I think, a little harder on its partners this time to move product. So I don't think you're going to see a ton of Intel labeled cards just available and out there. But you will see, Gunrear, Sparkle. Um, I think Acer. Yeah, Acer's probably another one. I've got another thing clicked here that I'll pull up and I'll show kind of some of the brands here real quick. Um, but it's in that $250. So what's your competitor? So it's in that area of the 7600 from AMD, and then the 4060. The 4060 is actually enough more expensive. Like it's what, $300, I think. That this card probably would straight up be more. In everything I've seen from reviews, straight up, it'd be more desirable, right, than a 4060. It comes with 12 gigs of VRAM, which is notable. That's what I think should be the budget amount of VRAM these days, honestly. Probably should be a lot more than that, but 12 is enough that you're going to get some, hopefully, some years out of it. And it's not just going to, with the next couple of generations of AAA games, it's going to be like, well, I can't do 12 gigs of VRAM and play with any settings on at all. Like it's just turned into this might as well be a Nintendo Switch, or something. But one interesting thing is somebody got it early. They just sort of started sending it out. So this is definitely it's not a bad launch. Like all the reviews and stuff say this card's all right. You probably prefer it over a 4060. Probably prefer it over a 7600. The 7600 probably needs to get priced lower to be competitive with this, which is good. That's competition. If we look over here, I was just laughing that somebody sent it out early. If we look over here, we can see kind of some of the brands. So you got your ASRock, yeah. ASRock Steel Legend, Acer, so I was right. Acer's one of them, Gunrear, and Sparkle. So it's kind of like probably your main carriers of it. You can see here the prices do vary, but there's kind of a reason behind this really high price on these real quick, which I'll show in a second. Because I think the biggest thing about this card is while reviewers got their hands on some, I'm not saying it's a total paper launch, but I don't think quantity is going to be quite there. And this could be something that's unfortunate. So if I look on Newegg, which is your normal place to go and like just look at something that just came out, or at least it is for me a lot of times, or Amazon. And we might check Amazon, but you can see jacked up prices on these two, which are the Gunrear ones, and then the actual retail price, which is what you're looking for, but they're all sold out. So it's all auto notify. So they got them in, they sold them out. That tells me the supply wasn't very high for this. So that's kind of interesting. It's a good sign for the initial sales for Intel that they sold out of them immediately. That's good, but it's not great that they didn't have more supply. Seems a bit weird. that they would not. So that tells me, again, I'm not saying it's a paper launch because we've got product listed and we even got some product, but it's kind of like a low availability launch, maybe, is what I would say about it, which sucks because I think they had a chance here to get a few card sales in right before Christmas, right in December, because and I checked it on Microcenter too. They don't even know what a B580 is, so they definitely don't have a Microcenter. And then Newegg is pretty much sold out. Like, no way would I touch those prices for this card. Now you're getting into 7800 XT range. Like, no, wouldn't do it. And I really wouldn't do it because January, the first week of January, CES, we're going to get reveals for all of AMD and NVIDIA stuff. And I think that's the only downside of this card is, it competes favorably with the 4060 and the 7600, but is it going to compete successfully against the 5060 and the 8600, right? That's kind of the question. Maybe it will, but we don't have those cards yet. They're not out. So overall, right at this moment, if you're in the market for a quote unquote budget card, so you're wanting to buy a brand new card and you are in that $200 to $250 price range, I don't think this is a bad buy. I would say if you can hold off at all, watch out for what AMD and NVIDIA deliver. And it might also be good for you to hold off because at the very least, if you're set on this card, supply may come in. I would never tell you to pay this, right? I don't think that's a good idea. At these prices, again, like some higher end cards are available at these prices. And it's compared to like I don't think this card stands up real well against your 7800 XT, your 6800 XT, or 6800, 6750 XT. I'd have to go back and look at the reviews. I don't think it really matches up to that either. Anything below that, so your 6600, 8600, 3060, 4060, those classic cards, I think this could be a good option. So we'll have to see what AMD does and what NVIDIA does. If NVIDIA releases the 5060 later, which I think they will, I don't think the 5060 is going to drop really quick. I think that'll be the delayed one. Intel may have a pretty good time with this because I do think, like I said, this does pretty well against the 4060, which honestly AMD does well against that card too. Like I'm not really a big 4060 fan, to be honest. And plus with 12 gigs of VRAM, like it makes sense. So it'll be interesting to see what AMD come out with. The 8600 is the only thing I see that's going to come out that should be, competitive soon from all the rumor mill stuff. Take it with a grain of salt. But this is here now, and its performance is relevant, which is kind of a surprise. Like I was kind of thinking that it might not be, and it kind of is. There's even some press around Intel is eyeing going ahead and working on, this is XE2, I believe, and their XE3, like there's some stuff circulating online from someone inside of Intel that XE3 is basically done hardware-wise. The software team is working on it, so that would be the next iteration, and then they're working on XE4. So I would find that surprising because just the way it was sounding, like Intel maybe, but they may have to do these things because there's a certain amount of real estate that they've purchased already that's probably already been purchased with like TSMC or whatever their fab method is. It's already been allotted, and so they may need to take advantage of that. One sort of hopes that maybe in a surprise they make a little bit of money off this. It kind of keeps them going, and then they continue to make video cards. That'd be awesome. So I'm not here to hate on any particular company. To me, they're all the same. In the PC building space specifically, they are all evil. And then at the same time, some of them are all good. Good people, evil organization, rah, that kind of thing. But it would be good to have as much competition in the video card landscape as possible. I think AI is the big draw for that eventually, right, for everybody, which is fine. But at least, if they're making GPUs, why not sell them to consumers, make some money that way too, user capacity, still be profitable. So I'm hoping that this is a good sign and they continue to go. Now, like I said, it's not a good sign if there were 5 video cards. There's just one of each of these and they sold them immediately. That's not a good sign. But if they had a little bit of supply and they immediately sold out, that could be a good sign that at this price point, people are hungry to upgrade, from their 1060s or maybe even before that, right? So that's good. So hopefully that will work out well. I guess the summary of this video is if you're looking for a B580, maybe be a little patient. I know I keep saying patient all the time. Wait until this stock is back in. I'm sure they will restock these. And maybe take a gander at what AMD is doing. I think they're going to be the next one that has a card in this price range with the 8600. The 5060, I do not anticipate until later. NVIDIA is going to release the top end of those, right of the 5000 series. We'll get the 5090 and the 5080 announcement, maybe the 5070 as well, all at CES. So obviously stay tuned for that. But none of those cards are going to be competing directly with this because they're going to be multiple times price over what these are. And so unless they do a 5060 announcement, this is not a bad deal in town. Look at your games, look at some benchmarks, but be aware, especially with like Gamers Nexus, they're pretty picky. They cited a lot of improvements with this, so that's good. And cross my fingers. Hopefully some people will buy these. Intel will make a couple bucks. Maybe they reconsider if they're thinking about dropping out of the video card market. Maybe. I would have no problem buying one, but I have a 3080 and I want to really upgrade from a 3080. So the next potential is probably the 8800, but we'll see. I may be around the 3080 for a couple of years to come. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the way that prices and stuff are. So anyway, guys, thank you for watching. If you purchase a B580 or an Intel GPU, curious to see what your comments and feedback are on them. The original ARC was pretty mixed bag, and I heard some mixed things about it. A lot of the reviews are saying this is good. Would you buy another Intel video card? Was the original ARC too much and you've sworn it off forever? What do you feel about it? Sound off in the comments. Leave a like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one.